Hi knitters, welcome to PJ Knits. My name is Penny. I live in Central Illinois and I'm a knitter, a blogger, and a YouTube podcaster. And I've been having a terrible time this morning trying to get this thing going. For some reason, I get partially into it and I just get befuddled. So this is like take 3 or 4, but that's okay. I don't do any editing. So if I was an editor, then I wouldn't have this issue, right? I'd be spending time editing. But anyway, you didn't come here to hear that. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for tuning in to my knitting journal. Thank you for new subscribers, and thank you for the returning subscribers, and also those who comment below. I'm going to try very hard this episode to do it slowly and not get my words turned all around, and just let's talk about some knitting. Grab your cuppa and your knitting, because this may be a little long one. If the other one was similar, we'll see. We'll try to cut out some of that stuff that was blah blah. Anyway, so Central Illinois weather today. It is Wednesday, June 14th. It's 80 degrees. We've had a few days of some cooler temps, a nice breeze. We're not getting that right now. It's 80, and we have not had any rain. And I know there's places that are worse than us, but the grass is crunchy. My grass that I was trying to grow did not work out, so we'll try again when it's not so freaking hot. But anyway, that's kind of the weather today. It's a little bit cloudy. I don't have the air on yet. I'm thinking that since there is no breeze, that I might have to break down and turn it on for a few days. I love having my windows open, so that's why you may hear cars and birds and other things that come through. I love being able to enjoy what's out there in my neighborhood, and sometimes it's quiet sometimes, and sometimes it's not. So I really hate turning the air conditioning on, but I also refuse to sit and knit and be hot. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on in the weather. In other things, short, quick life update. I've had, last weekend, I had a weekend of grandkids. My youngest grandson stayed with me on Friday night, and then on Saturday, I headed over to Iowa to watch my oldest granddaughter do dance. And as a mother of boys, and as someone who did not take dance lessons as a child or even a teenager, I so enjoy watching the dance recitals. And so I headed over to Cedar Rapids and got to watch her dance, and I actually got to watch all of the dances on Saturday night, and I just love the costumes and the choreography, and I'm so impressed by people who do it. They also had several numbers that were adults, and as a child I always wanted to do tap dance, but I think more of the shoes and the sound they made than anything. But they have adult tap over there and adult dances, which I think is so cool. And I don't know, maybe I'll look into that, beginner adult tap dance in the winter around here. I think that would be super, super fun. But anyway, I spent a night and a part of the day over in Cedar Rapids, and when I go over there, my grandchildren create a little hotel for me. I have a bedroom downstairs and bathroom, and they give me little keys to each of those rooms on little painted popsicle sticks. I sign in, I sign out, and I have a door person that opens the door for me when I leave. And they decorate my bathroom with Snoopy stuff that they have drawn and things related to knitting. So it is so much fun to go over there and be with them. My youngest granddaughter created me a picture that I am going to put on my refrigerator, as I do with all works of art from the grandchildren and other fun things. Prerequisite for any new refrigerator that I may buy, it has to be of something that a magnet can go on, and if not, then I will do like a big piece of tin for my one wall in my kitchen, and because I will have magnets on that so that I can enjoy the artwork that I get from my grandkids. So I received that. While I was there, my oldest granddaughter created a couple of things for me. She made me a Harry Potter wand in just the right color. So I have a Harry Potter wand now. And she also made me some needle stoppers that I'm going to put on my next project to see if they don't fit. She painted those for me. And I thought that was really quite genius for her to think about that. She's seen the needle stoppers that I have on that, and so I'm going to use those. So I had a fun weekend. I've had several weekends where I've had, like the grandson one weekend, and the next weekend I had the dog tryout, and then the next weekend, last weekend, I had all the grandkids. I was with them in different places, and so when I came back, I decided that I needed a few days just to be on my own, and so I am in that point in my life with being retired, and that I can do that. And so starting on Sunday afternoon, I really decided that my next few days before I have to go to a couple of functions tomorrow, was that it was going to be all about me and all about knitting. And I have not went out of the house other than to take the garbage out. I've not driven anywhere, but I was going to knit and plan knits. And that is what I've done since then. I have enjoyed it so much. I have knit a lot. I have planned a lot of knitting, future knitting. I planned for the podcast, made some notes and things like that. So it's been just a 3 days of just about me. And I encourage those of you who need that, please take time for yourself to do your craft and just about you. If you are able to do that, I highly recommend that. It makes you feel so much better. And like I said, it's kind of been my own little mini retreat with just me, with my coffee, with my knitting, and with some podcasts that are on and some other things. So that's kind of how I spent my time. And so, again, I encourage you all to do that if you are able. I wanted to share just a couple of things that what I call mail call that came in. This first book I purchased a couple of weeks ago from Schoolhouse Press. It is by Anna Moore Sundbo. It is now in English. It is called Norway's Knitted Heritage. It is a tome of stuff. You have to read about Anna Moore, how she took over a rag factory, kind of like, but not really a rag factory in Norway, and created things from it. And it's just a great story. At some point in time when I'm more versed on it, I will talk about it more. But it's a huge tome. There's a lot of information, a lot of history in this book, which I enjoy. And it's Norway inspired as well, because having been married to a partial Norwegian, I've always had a love of Norway, the country, even when I was in grade school, even before I met him. But this is the book. It's $60 from Schoolhouse Press. It's, like I said, it's a wealth of info and talks about all kinds of things historically, and shows some garments that were rescued as well from this factory that she bought, and it's just a super great read. But again, I know that it's not for everybody. It's a $60 price, but it's something that I read periodically, and great coffee table book, but not for everybody. But I wanted to share that particular find for you as well. Secondly, and leading into our hashtag #PJKnitssummer, the new Laine magazine came into my local yarn shop, the Fiber Universe, for summer 2023. And some interesting things that I want to talk about this magazine. I really do like the magazine. They're not always sweaters that I want to knit or will knit, but I find it, and it's not, again, I cannot tell you the cost. It's not cheap, let's put it that way. But it's a good read for a magazine. And the thing that I find interesting, some things that I find interesting about this, that I've noticed specifically on this one, and then when I thought back a little bit further, it's a trend that at least I feel for the Laine magazine that I'm seeing, is that this is summer 2023, but really a lot of these sweaters are ones that I would wear in the fall and into the winters, which kind of goes with my thought process for my knitting of sweaters, for the future season before it gets here is very important. It's important to me. Now, granted, right now I am on a thrill. I'm on a, everything right now that I'm really kind of looking at and knitting on are summer sweaters, because again, in Illinois, we can have all the way into October hot weather. So, but for this, I just, I just kind of reinforced what I was thinking about for my year, is that a lot of these are really not ones that I would wear in the summer, but definitely ones that I would knit late summer to have ready for the fall and winter. So, and I wanted to share kind of how I approached the Laine magazine and how I approached this issue when I got it. The first thing I do is I sit down and I want to have time to sit and enjoy it, right? I don't want to, go through it super, super fast. So I start with the patterns and I look at the pictures and I read the story about the designer and how their concept came. And then I will, if I see one that I remotely like, that I might want to knit on, I go back to the instructions, see what it's knit at, see how it's knit, and see if that is something that I really, really want to knit. And I look at my PYS. Is there something in my yarn shop that is a possibility that I could knit from without? And then I look at the ads, because I love looking at their ads. They do such a great job when it comes to ads. So I look at the ads and kind of get inspiration from the ads themselves. So I will do that as I look through the book, and then I will look at the recipes. And most of the recipes are not things that I would eat. I have one of those palettes that I'm very simple palette. I don't eat adventurously, let's put it that way, because one never knows what, how I will be affected by it. And I try to stay semi-gluten-free, so again, I look at that as well. So I don't always, but I do look at the recipes to see if there's something that, that it might be nice to make for a function that I may go to, if it's not too many ingredients or too much work. I guess I'm a lazy cook, let's put it that way. And then finally, I will go back over a period of time and I will read the articles, and I am in the process of doing that right now. So I wanted to share just how I kind of approach a magazine of Laine type, and, instead of just going from front to back, how I approach that. I want to share with you some sweaters out of this that I'm definitely putting on my transition winter list. And the first one is the cover sweater. That one spoke to me right away. And I particularly like the fact that I have for the stripes a green Sanduskarn, which this sweater is knit out of, that I could use for the sweater. And then I'm thinking about doing like a navy or maybe even a beige for fall out of that, ordering that. And I particularly like this sweater of how they have fashioned it with the pants. Because as I said before, I'm passionately challenged and I just love inspiration photos. So I'm seriously looking at that one, have earmarked my green yarn for those stripes. Next up is one called Linescapes by Veronica Lindberg. This one is done out of Snuff Nook, and I know I felt this when I was up at Espace Tricot, and I could order it, but I'm wondering if this would also work with my cantata that I bought. And I think that'd be a super, super nice sweater for winter. And again, I love, again, a younger body, but I'm loving the way it's being styled with jeans and a top. So that one I have earmarked for myself as well. This next one is by Paula Leisty, I believe. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, but I love this one. And this one is done out of a lace mohair and alpaca sport. And again, I love the way I love the texture in it. I love how they've styled this with the t-shirt and the buttons, the band on that. So I have put that. I don't have anything in my PYS. And then another one is a shawl by Rasta Sue. And this is all about texture, and I think this is a perfect one for summer of shawls that I'm looking at. It's a texture and relatively easy to work, I believe. So I have earmarked this one for definitely for the summer, and I know that I have some things. I know I have some things there that I would like to knit this out of. So I am definitely, I'm in love with the Laine magazine, this issue, and several sweaters. What is it? 1, 2, 3, at least 4 that I want to knit, right? So it has definite possibilities, which makes this the cost of this a worthwhile endeavor magazine for me. So I am looking at that for the, later this summer for sweaters. So that's the mail call that I wanted to share with you. Next up, let's go right into now to #PJKnitssummer. This is a knit along that we are doing, and it is knitting summer sweaters. It will go through the end of July, and I have some sweaters that I'm going to share with you right now that I am really just loving right now. First of all, I want, again, Salty Air Tea is done. This is by Samantha Guerin. And we're going to talk about Samantha a little bit in this podcast this week because she just came out with a new sweater that after finishing this one and using my linen quill for it, I am totally ready to cast on another one of her sweaters. But first, I want to talk about my finished object from Salty Air Tea. As I said, I knit this out of the Pearl Soho linen quill. This is in the rhubarb pink, and it is not a bright pink, but it has a reddish cast to it. I knit this with 909 yards. On this, I cast on, I knit the size 4 from the pattern, which is a finished measurement of 43.7. She suggested an alternating cable cast on for the neck because to keep it loose. I am also a lazy knitter, and I did the long tail cast on, and it is perfectly loose. I cast on with a size 4 needle, and then I switched after some of the yoke increases. I went to a size 5 and did that for the rest of the body. As far as the body is concerned, I knit to 20 inches from the cast on. I don't want a crop. Couple of things that I don't want is a cropped length, and I want some sleeves, so I added my normal length in sleeves to it, and I did pick up an additional under the arm, an additional 28 extra stitches, which was easy enough to do underneath the arm, and then continued on. And like I said, I did a 20 inches from the cast on because I wanted it to be long. I did not want it to be crop length. I wanted it to come down and go over my pants if I decide to wear those, or in this case, this is a black tank dress that I bought from Amazon, and I'll get up and just give you a little show here. I'm going to back you up a little bit, and there's the patterning. I'm going to back it up just a touch and come back so you can get the full view of it. I am loving this. I'm loving everything about it. I'm loving the yarn. I'm loving the length that I did as well, and the way it fits. Other than, going up to the size 5 needle, I did not make any alterations through here at all. I'm just loving it, like I said. And I'm loving the yarn. So it is a definite winner as far as I'm concerned when it comes to knitting. And we're going to go just a little bit further because we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So anyway, all of my details will be on later this week, will be on my project page on Ravelry. And I am PJ Knits 1 on Ravelry. So the nice thing about this now, I'm going to share some future knits with you. The nice thing about this is I now have a life-size swatch for any of the linen quill that I want to do. And as I said earlier, Samantha came out just today with a new pattern. It is the Pampas tee, and I have already earmarked one of my yarns for it. Another linen quill, and I may, on this particular one, I know that I will make it just a little bit longer, maybe, but I definitely will make a longer sleeve, almost to the elbow. I may even make a bracelet length or a 3/4, because I'm sure that I will have enough yarn. And I am going to use one of my PYS Vintage Celadon. And I think this will be perfect going into fall as well, and maybe a 3/4 sleeve. So this is my intention going forward. Because I have my linen quill that were earmarked from, that I bought, you know, last year, year before, earmarked for some half and halves, and decided not to do them, and decided to keep doing the one that I'm doing, but to switch this up and use this as sweaters, especially since I just recently, this knit, fell in love with the feel on this size 5 needle of the linen quill. I tried knitting it a couple of years ago on a much smaller needle, probably a 2 or a 3, and I did not like it. It did not give me the feel that I liked. But since going on up to a little bit larger needle, I am totally in love. And it is a 50% fine Highland wool, 35% alpaca, 15% linen. And so I really am loving this, that particular gauge that I'm getting. So I'm looking forward to knitting on that late summer into definitely a transitional sweater. Also on my list, and we've talked about this in other ones, I have these dresses and I'm loving the look right now of a dress, and skirts, tanks or whatever, and then having a little bit shorter sweater over it for the summer. And I had this particular dress that I wanted. Again, it's a little bit longer length for me, which I like, that I wanted to knit some sort of sweater to go over it. And I was having a terrible time because I really wanted to do PYS or something that I had already knit. And a lot of them were tweedy or variegated yarns that just would not go over this particular fabric. And so there was nothing already in my wardrobe that in a sweater view that would go with it. And there was nothing showing, there was no summery yarns in my PYS that were working. And so then I saw that I had this linen quill, and I bought 4 of it, you know, and earmarked it for the daily pullover for early spring wearing, and didn't get around to it. And so I didn't know what it wanted to be in, but then I married these together, and I discovered how nice that would look as a sweater. But I'm like, yeah, but I wanted to do the daily pullover. I had enough yarn for it, right? My brain said, well, why not go ahead and knit the daily pullover out of it and wear it over this. Still time to knit it and wear it. So that is my intention. And if I don't get it done this year, I will have this for the fall, and I will have something to put over this dress next summer as well. So that is my intention for a summer sweater that goes into fall, that will come back out in the spring and summer again. So that one is on my radar for still the hashtag Summer of Shawls, and using my PYS and helping to get something to go under that dress. So there we have it. But of course, I also have an intention, and I talked about this before, about wanting to, thanks to Noelle from Knits and Pieces, about wanting to knit a Friday tee. And as it would be, you remember my inspiration picture from a couple of podcasts ago, that I wanted to do some sort of stripes for summer, This is out of a Talbot's catalog. And this is the colorway that I was really, my brain says, I want it to be that because I could wear it with blue jeans, and I was loving this jacket. Now, as luck would have it, and I'm not sure if it's still on sale, but this jacket is on sale at Talbot's for 50% off. So I may go later and order the jacket because I have the yarn. I picked out the yarn from Sandus Yarn. It is a Sunday yarn. It's a finer weight that's going to give me what I'm looking for. And my thought process is, even though this is probably an elbow length sleeve, if I buy the jacket, I can wear this well into fall. And then again, I can bring it back out in next early spring, wear the jacket again, and then wear this in the summertime. So that is kind of the last of my summer of sweaters, my summer sweaters, transitional to start with sweaters. So it really, you know, I am still keeping with wanting to knit some of these in the summertime and still wear them now, but it also, a lot of these will be able to be worn later this fall still with a jacket or with something else. So I hope that you all will continue to knit some summer sweaters and post hashtag #PJKnitssummer on Instagram. And when you take pictures, you know, I highly recommend that you take pictures on your body so that those of us who like to look at those pictures and see if it's a similar body to us can say, yeah, that's something I can wear. She looks like she has the same figure as I do, or no, I really need to add a little bit of length there, or whatever. So I highly encourage you to take pictures of you on your body, and if you have an Apple Watch, to use that remote piece on it so to take your photos as well. So that's some summer sweater knits. Couple of admin things we want to talk about here. I just want to do a little shout out and another thank you to Marie, who hosted and hosts our Zoom when I'm not able to be there on Saturday nights at 6 o'clock. All the information is on the Ravelry page under PJ Knits of the login and the times and all that. And I just want to do a shout out to Marie and say thank you for hosting that for me when I can't be there. We will be together on this Saturday, the 17th, and we would love to have you come talk and visit with us. We talk about all kinds of things, including knitting, and we're from all over the world, and it is so much fun to build that community, see what you're knitting on, and to talk, just to talk. I know for both a lot of us, and for both Marie and I, it's a nice thing to do on a Saturday night. We totally enjoy that. So thank you so much, Marie. I totally appreciate you being there for me. I do appreciate that. So anyway, secondly, we have our giveaway from last time from Twill and Print. This is a row counter that you can pin to yourself or to your knitting or to your bag. Comes from Twill and Print. My friend Victoria bought it in Montreal and graciously donated it as a prize. And so I picked from the comments last episode. And Pamela Van Stralen, you are the winner of the row counter there. And Pamela knits every day. She is a cyclist, and so my question back to Pamela was, do you knit while you cycle? I'm wondering about that. So Pamela, if you will send me your address, and a couple of different ways you can do it. You can send it to my email, which is pjknitspodcast@gmail.com. You can shoot it to me on Ravelry as a message. I am pjknits1 there. Or you can DM me on Instagram. I am PJ Knits at the little message arrow up at the top. And just as a reminder to everyone, and others have said this as well, when I announce a winner, it will be right here. I will never contact you any other way. And I will never ask for you to pay for anything or money or to do anything other than send me your address. So Thanks everybody who commented. Great comments. I just enjoy looking at those so much. So thank you to everyone. Okay. Summer of Shawls 2023. Summer of Shawls 2023 is a knit along that I started doing a few years back. And I want to say I believe it was before COVID. I want to say it was probably 2019. Could have been before that. But one of the things with Summer of Shawls, I decided, and when I started doing that, was more of the fact that I did not knit sweaters in the summertime, right? I felt that in the summertime, it was a time for me to be knitting on shawls, because shawls were so functional, I think, as a knit, as a wearing piece in the summertime, right? You know, around here, the minute it starts turning a little warm and you go some places to the grocery store, to the restaurant, or to a function, they kick up, you know, the air conditioning and you're freezing. So I thought that working on shawls in the summertime was a perfect avenue for my knitting. It's light on the lap if you're knitting outside, if you're going to ball games. And I know a lot of people do socks then too, but since I wasn't really knitting socks at ball games or on the front porch, the likely knit for me was for shawls. And so I started every year doing a Summer of Shawls. And so we're going to do that again. It is during the summer season. It will kick off on 6/21 and it will go through the end of summer, which is 9/23. It is your knitter's choice of pattern. You can use a whip if you want to, or you can cast on something new. If you would, I would love if you would use the hashtag on Instagram, hashtag Summer of Shawls 2023. Post them on Instagram, post them on Ravelry. I'd love to see your shawls as you finish them. It will give us some ideas of those that people are knitting on. And also then at the end of the knit along, I will compile those finished objects on both Instagram and Ravelry, and I will choose a winner of a bag that I received from the other Sandy, Queen Sandy, who makes bags. This lovely bag will be the prize for our knit along. Has that wonderful pocket. I love her bags, and I love it has a nice strap on it so that you can put it over your shoulders if you're going to Panera's on Saturdays, or underneath the bridge, or out on the riverfront to knit. It has a nice pocket to pop things in, and it has a nice zip pocket that you can put your wallet, your keys in, and then something for your phone. So this will be, at the end of summer, will be the giveaway for Summer of Shawls. And I will compile the lists, so we will give away one of the wonderful bags that Sandy graciously donated to the podcast. And thank you, Sandy, again. Thank you so much. I enjoy my bags so much, and so appreciate your kindness and your donation to the podcast. So thank you. I do appreciate that. We will have one of those that we will give away. That one is earmarked for the Summer of Shawls. And also, before I forget, this one has a little note in it. This is for PJ Knits, the summer sweaters. At the end of July, we will have another giveaway that I will compile both the Instagram and the Ravelry finished objects, and we will be giving this one away at the end of the summer sweater knit along. Again, PJ Knits. This inside is so reminiscent of my childhood, right? I love this pattern. Has that pocket on the inside and the outside, and so this is going to be the one that we will give away for the summer tea, the knit along. So again, Sandy, she is the sweetest lady. If you go to the mini meetup, you will meet her there. Her and her daughter share. They are the sweetest people, and and I consider them friends, and all through knitting. I am amazed at the friends that the community and all the friendships that are being forged through knitting and through the Zooms, through the podcasts, through the mini meetups, through Montreal. I can't tell you how nice it is to have all of those friendships being developed. And on our Zoom on Saturday nights at 6 o'clock, we have people from all over the United States. We have Rosie from South Australia, and it is so much fun to talk to those people, and we're building a community. So anyway, I just wanted to share we will have some giveaways on bags as the summer and the knit-alongs go on. So I wanted to share with you some shawls that I am thinking about knitting, or at least are planning on knitting this summer as well. First up, I said that whips were good, and I have a whip in my button jar bag, and the reason I chose this bag for this knit, and it's been sitting in the closet so I would remember, is because it is called Pressed Flowers by Savory Knitting. And so what better way as a reminder is to have a flowered bag, and I just love her bags. The yarn I chose was, I chose this one after seeing it on another podcast that somebody had knit. It is a kit that I got from Skein Cocaine. Those are my two colorways. And I cast it on last year and then put it away. And partially because I just got involved in some other things. But the other thing is I'm using a size 6 needle. And what I remembered last year is I wondered if I really wasn't liking the feel of knitting on this on a size 6. So I'm thinking about recasting on a size 7 this year. And what I thought I would do is continue on for another repeat or so and see if my thought has changed and it's okay on a 6, or if I want to rip it out and do a size 7. But here's what I have so far. And so I am intending on getting this going this summer, because I'd love to have this for the summer and the fall, and I love that. And she has so many, there's a cardigan, and I think a sweater pattern out of it as well that she has revamped to that. But I want to get back at that, but I want to make sure that it's an enjoyable knit as well. So that is one of my summer of shawls that I want to knit on. And then the other thing is I went to my PYS. I bought this some time ago, and I've always wanted a Halloween type shawl, something to wear at Halloween time. And I bought these yarns specifically to do that. And I wanted them to go together. They have stellina. I bought them, it's been several years ago, but they've been in my PYS. This was yarn from Neon Unicorn Studios, and I'm not so sure that she's still even dyeing. I'm not sure. But this one is Diamond Dust Sock in the colorway Charcoal. It has stellina in it. You can see that. It's a 75 merino wool, 20 nylon, and 5 stellina. And then that's Diamond Dust Sock. This one is also Diamond Dust Sock, and it is in Campfire Stories. So those are the two, my inclinations. I'm going to make them happen for my Halloween shawl. And you don't see the sparkle in that one as much. But my intention is for those two to go together. And I have decided out of my pile of shawls that I want to knit, I pulled it out. This is going to be Unwind by Tracie Millar, the Grocery Girls. And I have just enough yarn for that. So that is going to be, and I think this would be a nice easy knit to do in public as well. So that is one of the shawls. And then the final one that I have thought about is what I am calling the Kate Spade shawl. And the reason for this is because last year I was inspired by a picture on Instagram of a shawl, and it just so happened to have an aqua purse on top of it. And I was like, you know what? I've got this Kate Spade purse that I would love to have a shawl, a wrap to go with. And so here's my inspiration photo. And right here was the little aqua purse, right? Okay. So I'm bringing this all together. And it was a wrap. And so I thought, okay, I would like to do the Suburban. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. So I decided on the Suburban wrap. And as it would be, my local yarn shop a couple of years ago, and I think it was part of the Knitted Witch, she does like stories type socks. She did a colorway called Lava, and I think this was from the Iceland series that she did that summer. And so I thought, oh, I'll just buy that. I want the yarn, right? But I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I saw the inspiration photo, and so then I auditioned a couple of different greens and finally came up with I had one that was a linen quill, and I'm like, I don't really want to use the linen quill for that. So I went to my local yarn shop and got a heritage sock. Okay. Then I went to my PYS. I had a couple of yarns that were a giveaway from years ago from the Pipeliner Retreat that Paula used to do. And I had a green. Okay. And then I had a black, some black onyx left over from Sun Valley Fiber from a shawl that I did in 2016. And then finally for the speckled part, I had I have a skein and a half of Carson by Lolo Did It. So here we go. These are all going to be going into the Suburban wrap, which is now going to be called the Kate Spade wrap for me. And that's going to be a wrap that I'm going to work on this summer, and so that I will have it to go with my Kate Spade purse. It is in a bag that I love this. This is by the Bay Yarn Company. She has several sizes, has pockets in it, and so this is going to house that particular shawl for the summer. And again, I try to match my bags up with what's in them so that I can I don't have to remember what bag they're in or write it down, which I do, but then I can pull it and say, oh yeah, I know what's in that and what knit is there. So, in the course of the Summer of Shawls 2023, during podcasts, I'm still going to be knitting these summer sweaters, and I'll still be talking about sweaters, but for the shawl knitters, we'll also be talking about shawls. I will share some patterns that I have in my folder that I really, really like. I will share some, hopefully some shawls that I've already knit, just talk about them as well. So we will be doing all of that this summer going forward. And I hope you will join me in either or all of the knit-alongs. A lot of you are like me, and you will have multiple things going on, like a sweater, and a shawl, and a sock, an easy knit. And so I'm just carrying on that particular tradition for me as well. So finally, what I want to, not finally, there's always more, right? One more. But I just want to talk about the shawl that I pulled out today. To show you. When I was working, I wore a lot of triangular shawls and crescent shawls, especially in the winter, because my wardrobe was dress pants, a turtleneck, and I'm still wearing turtlenecks. I heard somewhere one time that turtlenecks were out and they were like really kind of old-fashioned, but I'm still going to wear them as a backdrop in the wintertime for my shawls. And so anyway, I knit a lot of the crescents and also the triangulars, but they are not necessarily, I have no favorites. I used to have favorites of what I like to knit. And now I like them all. You know, there's not a shawl I don't like. And there's not a texture, there's not a lace that I don't like. But anyway, I knit a lot of those because they were easy to accessorize, to throw on in my job. And also kept me warm when I was out of my office, because my office was always warm, because that's the way I like to keep it. But anyway, I just wanted to share this one with you as a kind of a start off. This is the 3-color cashmere shawl. I knit this in 2016 in the summertime. I finished it about in early June that year. It is 3-color cashmere shawl by Joji Locatelli. I knit this out of yarns, and we had a contest at Meg Swanson's knitting camp that year, and I think it was favorite books or something. I can't even remember at the time. It was my knitting camp contest entry, and I think it must have been for about books or something like that. My notes tell me that I placed 8th in a group of probably 30, 40 people who entered the contest, so I thought that was kind of fun. My theme was Willy Wonka. These are Willy Wonka colorways that I bought the prior year at Stitches Midwest from Stephen B. And they all have Willy Wonka. The colorways have Willy Wonka names. So that's what I used in the shawl. That was my favorite book, my favorite movie. It was definitely one of my favorite books as a grade schooler. I loved the book, and then when they came out with the original movie, and I still see it at Christmas time when it comes on. I make a point of watching it, you know, at wintertime around Christmas. But anyway, that was the thought process, and so it is all Willy Wonka colorways. The yarn was all Republic of Wool twist fingering in Snosberry, Fizzy Lifting Drink, and Candy is Dandy. And as I recall, the Candy is Dandy is this, the variegated. The Fizzy Drink is the limey, and the Snosberry was the pink. And I wore this a lot with a hot pink turtleneck, navy turtleneck. I really like it. I probably was one of my first forays into Pico. I knit this, if not, I knit it twice. Once was for a gift, and I don't know which one came first. But anyway, they were all, took 800 yards. It was on a size 7 needle, and I totally love this one and the knitting of it. Take it off of here. Feel for it. So you get a feel for the entire thing. Excuse me. So a nice shawl. It was a nice knit because it kept the interest with the striping and with the holes and with the texture. And then again, like I said, learning, then the little lace at the end, and then the picot edge, which was a new learning technique from me as well. So something I really liked knitting, this particular one. And I wanted to share that with you. During the course of Summer of Shawls, I will share some more that I've got from you, that I've got for you from my stash. So that's some things, that's going on this summer. Okay, so just to finish up, next episode I will talk about and show you progress, because we're running long, on my Burra cowl that I'm hoping to have done by the end of July, and we'll talk about that knit along as well. I promise that I will have information. I'm working a little bit on it slowly, and I have to be in the mindset to do that. And it's not that I don't like color work. I am enjoying the color work. It's the small circumference, and I much prefer a larger circumference, I think. So please, if you would, subscribe to my channel. I appreciate that. And when you do that, like this video if you will. Comment below if you have something you want to tell us about as well. where you can find me. Again, I am PJ Knits 1 now on Ravelry. Our group is PJ Knits. I am PJ Knits on Instagram, and I have a blog, www.pjknits.blogspot.com, where I kind of compile some of the Instagram posts on it there. I hope you're having a wonderful knitting season. I hope you'll take time for yourself as well. Now, going forward, I want to end some of these podcasts with some things, something that I've been reading. Back in episode 85, when we were talking about stuff, Joyce LeVere, I know the first name is Joyce LeVere, suggested a book, and it's called The Power of Knitting by Loretta Napoleoni. Okay, and I just finished it. And what I was doing is, this was a periodic read, because the background behind this is that she was going through some things, and she wrote this book while she was going through. And it's how knitting empowers, heals, and reconnects us to one another and ourselves. The background is, whether we're facing anxiety, loneliness, or uncertain times, knitting is a powerful tool for survival and a metaphor for life. And so many of us know that for sure. Join economist and lifelong knitter Loretta on a voyage through history, following the yarn of social, economic, and political changes, and a personal journey of discovery as well, purling and stitching every step of the way into this remarkable exploration of the power of knitting. And so I'm just going to, as we go through the summer, I'm just going to end here with just paraphrasing some of the things that she wrote. But first of all, what I want to say right from the get-go is her dedication was to her son. And basically what she says is, to him, the needle she used to stitch her life back together. And I think so many of us can find that in knitting right now, from whatever you're going through in life. It's if you have your knitting, it helps. I truly believe, and I can be a testament to that as well. Interesting thought we had this past weekend with my oldest granddaughter. I said, well, how do you like being out of school? And she said, it's boring. And I'm like, well, you could always knit. Which got a little bit of a roll eye, because that's not something I don't think she wants to do. She's a great reader. But anyway, yeah, that's my thought for you today via Loretta here. Use your needle. Stitch your life back together. And if you need some help, stop by here and come back each time and Zoom with us, or just, do a shout on Ravelry or Instagram. So I hope that you're having, again, a wonderful summer. I hope you're not bored. I hope you have lots of knits. Take some time out to plan some knits for you. Plan on a knitting adventure all by yourself if you want to. Go to, plan a trip 50 miles away to a yarn shop that you've never been to. Or come up to Mini Meetup the end of July. So we're going to have a great big group, and it's going to be so much fun. So I'm looking forward to that, and to knitting camp coming up. So I'll be back in a week or two, talk about more shawls, probably after we start Summer of Shawls, the kickoff on that. But so thanks so much again for staying with me and tuning in, and all of the lovely comments. So knit on, guys.